What's up YouTube? Ian Sandusky back here again from Let's Machine for Practical Machinist. Before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe below if you want to see more videos. Let's get into it. So today on Shop Talk, we're going to be talking about the thing on everybody's lips because it's affecting us all, and that's COVID-19 and how it relates to the machining industry. Starting off personally, I'm going to start with my own personal anecdote with how this has been affecting us. We are a small shop. For those of you who don't know, Lakewood Machine and Tool, which is the company I manage and my father started and I am in the process of taking over. It's been around for 30 years. We have never, ever, 32 years actually, and we have never actually had a shutdown like this ever. This whole situation has been completely unprecedented. I wasn't around that much when SARS was going on. I know we're in Canada. SARS did affect us here a bit, but there has never been a shutdown that's affected us like this ever. I can't remember a situation like this that has affected our supply lines, which has affected our work hours, which has affected our whole industry in this way. So navigating it has been very, very difficult and has been a real challenge. The biggest challenge for us, I'm speaking from an Ontario perspective here. I know some of you guys in the States have had varying levels of lockdown. I know some of you guys in the UK, again, different situations. But speaking from a personal perspective here, we have been dealing with some very interesting ethical issues in relation to how we operate. As you guys know, COVID-19 is an extremely, extremely contagious illness, made very, very dangerous because it has such a long asymptomatic transmission period. So you can walk around for 2 weeks apparently without knowing you have it, contaminating everybody else around you. In a machine shop, we're fairly lucky that we typically don't work very close next to each other. We have our machines spread out. We don't have that many people here. We're not a large factory. We're not a large CNC shop. We don't have a large engineering department that has a lot of people sitting next to each other. So we've been able to mitigate our own risk that way fairly effectively just by operating business as usual. We typically don't let people walk on our floor, so we don't have people walking through. All deliveries come to the back door, all pickups come to the back door, increased hand washing, hand sanitizer, that kind of thing we've been doing. The biggest ethical issue, or I guess moral issue, I don't even know how to describe it, the biggest issue we've been facing is the question of whether to close. In Ontario, we've been deemed essential. All manufacturing has been deemed essential. 100% manufacturing. Doesn't matter if you're making tennis rackets or if you're making high-grade medical equipment or nuclear or defense. All manufacturing has been deemed essential. That said, a lot of the larger shops that deal with companies like Magna, who produce things for automotive, they're probably one of the biggest manufacturing areas in our area. A lot of the big mold shops and such have voluntarily closed down. We have not. A lot of shops our size have not. The problem has been this, and it's been difficult to try to juggle. If we close while other people do not close down as a small shop, the customers who usually order from us will simply turn around and go and order from somewhere else. I think we offer some very good pricing. I think we offer very good quality. I think our service is really kind of what sells us, our hands-on ability to work with customers on their projects. We have our benefits to people working with us, but at the end of the day, if we shut down and turn business away and they go somewhere else, the chance of that job coming back again is much, much lower than if we keep it in-house. As I always say, you never want to give your customers a reason or an opportunity to go somewhere else because you never know who else might be doing it just as well as you do. Maybe they're a little bit faster, maybe they're a little bit more reactive, maybe their pricing's a little bit better. If they leave, they're gone. Juggling that kind of knowledge and that kind of risk while keeping our people safe has been a challenge. We've been working with it as well as we can. We've had a couple people, we had one guy with a possible exposure at one point, so we made sure he isolated for 14 days, got a negative test, everything was good that way. But trying to juggle staying afloat and keeping economically viable while keeping people safe has been probably one of the most mentally taxing scenarios I've ever encountered so far, in this industry. It's difficult. It's really difficult. We are seeing work slow down as people just aren't buying things. Companies aren't ordering as many things as they would, even if it's not related at all to a consumer-facing business. It's hard. We're staying afloat. We do have some subsidies coming in soon, apparently from the government, but it's been difficult. On a positive note, I was reading on the Practical Machinist forums, and some guys were looking for positives that have come from this scenario. And there's one big one I can think of, and I've been hoping and praying for it for years. We've seen it coming for a little bit, not praying for a pandemic, but praying for this kind of realization. And that's that, especially with medical equipment, it's really been the catalyst to show that offshoring, the big offshoring movement in the 80s and 90s, where all the manufacturing went out to cheaper countries, offshore, isn't always the best thing. We've made a decent living for periods of our existence here at Lakewood, fixing parts coming back from offshore manufacturing. People have gone to try to get work done cheaper. The way it goes is they order a load, the load gets on the boat. While that boat is coming over, another order is getting done. By the time the first one gets here, the second order is already on the boat. If there's a problem with the first order, there's a problem with the second, and it's not fixed till the third. So now they have 2 boatloads, or at least 2 shipments worth of parts to fix. And we've done that work a lot, where we've taken parts that people have gotten manufactured much more cheaply overseas and had to fix them for them because the quality was not there, the features were missing. In some cases we've had to remake parts because they've come back full of mystery metal and who knows what else. If it's for a high pressure application, you can't have an unspecified seal. It's the way it goes. Everybody who works with overseas manufacturers knows there's certain things you need to pay very close attention to. And the one thing this whole scenario has done, if there's any positive to be gleaned from it, is show people who are not so familiar with that some of the pitfalls to dealing with overseas manufacturing and what happens when you don't have manufacturing capability here at home, whether that you're in the US, you're in the UK, you're in Europe, you're in South America, wherever you are. If you're not manufacturing things right where you live and you're reliant on somewhere else, well, what happens if something happens over there at the same time it happens here? It doesn't necessarily need to be a viral pandemic. It could be a lot of different things. Natural disasters could be even something as simple as, what if they jack the prices up over there and now you have no ability to manufacture here? You're paying whatever they're going to charge because you don't have any options. I think it's really important that during this time, all of us in manufacturing put our best foot forward whenever possible, while being as attentive to the well-being of our staff. I think there's a very good chance we could see an increase in manufacturing coming back to North America. We've already seen it happening. I personally have already seen it happening. I've had jobs where they've gone overseas, for 5 years. Parts we did for 10 years have now left for 5, starting to come back because all the finagling with, trying to keep on top of quality control, trying to keep track of timelines, all that kind of stuff isn't worth the amount of money you save compared to paying someone a fair wage here to get the quality you get from manufacturing here. And I think that trend is going to continue. And I think as long as we continue to not push that narrative, that's, I don't recommend capitalizing on a tragedy. I think as long as we continue to demonstrate what makes local manufacturing so good and so important and so critical, there's a chance here to see a lot of rehoming of manufacturing. We're already here. A lot of people, I always hear that North American manufacturing is done. We killed North American manufacturing. North American manufacturing, European manufacturing, it all still exists. It's all still here. A lot of us are sitting here waiting for this work to come back. We could retool in a second. If I had the orders for it, I have the space here alone in my own shop. We've got 3 units here. I could put in 3 more machines and hire 5 more guys if the work was there for it. I still get resumes across my desk. There's still people going into the trades. The capability is still here. If we can demonstrate that why it's so critical and continue to show the quality we can bring, I think it's a chance for a lot of manufacturing to come back. Long story short, guys, this is a very difficult period for everybody. I'm having a hard time with it. I'm sure a lot of you guys may be laid off. Keep your head up. It's gonna pass at some point, whether it's a month, 18 months. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist. I don't pretend to know anything beyond the projections I've been told, and they change daily anyway. Most importantly, make sure you guys are taking care of yourselves, whether you're working or not. You know, I don't think it's an overstatement or alarmist to say make sure you're sanitizing everything very carefully in your shop, in your home. Wash your hands as much as you can. We're not wearing masks here, but we do have N95s for our respirators, so you know, if it came down to that, we would. Pay attention to what's going on in the world, but don't get so hung up on reading news all day that you just get depressed. You know, like I said, this is pretty unprecedented for a lot of us. Not many of us lived through the Spanish flu of 1918, so you know, we just have to navigate it the best we can. If you're working, you know, do the best job you can. Try to keep providing for your families out there. It will get better at some point, it has to. If you're a shop owner, do your best to keep your people employed. I'm doing my best to keep guys on the floor even as work is drying up, because I'd rather them get a paycheck here than have to go on EI or, you know, the emergency benefits coming out. So, you know, just try to do right by your people. This is a very, very important time that we all kind of come together and support each other. If you order things from overseas, now is the time to start looking at local manufacturers. You know, you can't complain that there's no manufacturing here if you're not supporting it, so do that as well. And long story short, guys, just take care of yourselves, okay? Thank you very much for watching, guys. Again, my name's Ian Sandusky from Let's Machine, here for Practical Machinists on Shop Talk. If you want to see more videos, make sure you like and subscribe below, and you guys take care of yourselves. Have a great day.